Hey everyone, you really want to pay attention to this one because this month has got some really interesting numbers. So if you're looking to get educated, we're going to give you some of that on the Halifax market as we always have. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, wherever you are. This is going to be an interesting one because we are here to talk about the April market stats for the Halifax market. It's changed. It is changing. We'll get into some more detail later on, but if you're moving here, if you're thinking of buying, thinking of selling, thinking of investing because you're already in Nova Scotia, then right here, my channel is where you want to be. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell, leave comments down below as well because we want to make sure we're giving you the right information, that you're actually getting value and all that good stuff. But right now, can't contain my excitement because, you know, I'm an accountant, past accountant, now a realtor. One interesting thing has happened. Average selling price this month is $629,104. That is down 2% on March. For the first time in what feels like 2 years, our average price actually came down. Now, admittedly, it was only like, I think it was about $15,000. It didn't drop by a huge amount, but it dropped. First time we've actually seen the Halifax market do a decrease, 2%. Now, yes, we are still up 25% on last year. Now, when you look at the average listing price of $530,000, that gives us 118.7, let's call it 119%, sale to list price. Now, going back last year, that was only 112%. So we're still getting quite a good amount over asking price. But here's what seems to be changing. For the month of May, we are like 10 days into the month of May so far. And what we are definitely seeing through listings and as well as me through buying is on the listing side, we are getting less viewings and less offers. Now, notice I still said offers with a S on the end of it. So we're still getting multiple offers. But what we are absolutely seeing is, let's go back like 4 months ago, January, we would have seen like 10, 12, 15 offers. One of the ones I listed in January, actually, I think we had like 17 offers. Now, my latest listing we just had, we had just two offers. So that's one person and another person competing for the property. That's giving you a little bit of idea of what's going on. Let's look at viewings, because that's another leading market sign of what we're seeing. Back in January, same property with like 17 offers, we had something like 62 viewings. You've heard all these numbers in the past, still in the marketplace to now. However, those are really specific properties. The one that had the 2 offers on it, 8 viewings over 4 days. So that gives you an idea that we are seeing the number of viewings drop off, the number of offers drop off, still getting plural. We are also seeing a lot more of the sellers reserve the right to accept an offer at any time, which basically means bring me your bully offers and we'll have a look at it and see what we can do. So you kind of put all of that together, and right now, this is the peak of the market. What does that mean for sellers? It means if you want to put your house on the market, you're going to have to do 2 things. Number one, and I've said this all along, is be sensible with the price that you go to the market at. Don't try and stretch that piece of string, that elastic band, too tight where you're kind of listing at like $800,000 when really a sensible market number would be more like $725,000, $700,000. That's the first thing. And then second thing is I would definitely get to the market quick, because if we're at the very peak of the market, because we've got a lot of things going on right now, we've got really high gas prices. So we know that the price of fuel is actually going like getting close to $2 a litre. We also know that we've got a raging inflation because we printed a ton of money to get through COVID. Well, guess what? When you have a really large supply of money in the economy, people start spending it and we get inflation. That's where we're at. We're also seeing rising interest rates on mortgages. That's another sign that the government is trying to get on top of and maybe curb some of the inflation. So they're starting to pull their little levers to actually slow this down. Our market, housing market, makes up over 20% of Canadian economy. So when 20% of the market is down to housing, and we're starting to see we're at the very peak of the market, like, is it going to go down? Not really 100% sure. Is it going to flatline? Probably. Is it going to bubble like this? Probably even more likely. So when you start seeing that, and we're 20% of the Canadian economy, we're going to start seeing basically the peak of the market, which is where we're at now. So advice for sellers, number one, be sensible with your price. Number two, get on the market quick. Advice for buyers, maybe hang on just that 2 to 3 more weeks because you might see some good opportunities coming up. I know for a fact, because I've been getting the emails, over the last 7 days, I have seen price drops on properties. We never saw that going back like a year ago, even 6 months ago, even 3 months ago. We never see houses doing price drops. Now they're happening. So let's get into some other key stats as well, because these are some other ones that you want to really pay attention to. Average days on market for everything that sold was 9 days, down 2 days from last month being March. Also down 9 days on last year. Last year, same month, April, was 18. This year, 9. So the properties are going quicker. But here's the interesting thing. I just had a quick look to say, okay, that's for everything that's sold. What's the average days on market for everything that's currently listed right now, today, in May? That average days on market is 25. So yes, the ones that are selling in 9 days, but the ones that are sticking around and been active, on average, they're at 25 days on market. That's another sign. Like, I should have been probably measuring this like every single month, but that's one of the other signs that I've seen that we're seeing a change in the market, like it's slowing down. Good friend of mine has his duplex up for sale that he bought, did a reno, and then put it back on the market. He had 8 viewings, no offers. No offers. So the market is definitely starting to shift. Let's look at the number of properties sold. We sold 526 houses in April. That's up 18% on March, but it's down 33% on April last year. Number of houses that are active. We know that there are 316 houses at the end of April that were active. That number is still hovering around that 325 now when I just had a quick look. And it's basically the same number of houses last year that were up for the market, but we're up 2% on last month. So yeah, it's staying the same. Month of inventory, 0.6 months. Kind of staying the same. So the amount of inventory is staying the same. But one of the other things that I looked at is the amount of new listings that are coming on versus the amount of properties that are sold. In other words, sales to new listing ratio. So we sold 526 houses in April, but listed was 688. So we're 76% sale to new listing ratio. Go back last year, we were over 100%. If we were selling 526, we were listing 470. So sales last year were outstripping the listings. Now it's kind of dipping the other way. So what that will do is it will create more choice for the buyers. Hence, less viewings on the properties, less offers on the properties. So you kind of start putting some of these other signals together. No, we're not changing price by that much. It dropped about $15,000. That's not a huge number to change. But when you start looking at the days on market for everything that's active, you start looking at the sales to new listings ratio, you start looking at the months of inventory, it starts showing you a little bit of a picture. Like, to me, the leading indicator as well of how many listings are coming is my photographer busy? Am I struggling to get him booked? And yeah, we are. I'm actually struggled a couple of times to try and get him on the day I wanted because it's like, I'm totally booked. So when he says he's having a busy time, that means that more listings are coming. But what we need to do is be concentrating on the price and the presentation to actually get the houses sold. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Sales to new listing ratio since November was 110%. But since then, like I say, it's been dropping down to 76% now. So less buyers. Now, why are we getting less buyers? Maybe it's because we've had over a 50 basis point rise on the interest rates. Maybe it's also because there are a lot more planes that are flying around right now, certainly in the sky. And as well, friends of mine went to Toronto Airport and said it was nuts, absolutely bananas, like 3.5 hours to get through security. And they were just going to Toronto because they were going to Toronto. They weren't flying international. So you start looking at some of these things and you're like, yeah, people are starting to do other things potentially with their money. And that's another leading indicator of what really is going on here in Halifax. Yes, we've had a big influx of people, but we're starting to see more listings and buyers are having more choice. So maybe, just maybe, we're not going to be like constantly crazy. Like, yeah, we're talking 119% sale to list price. That's $99,000 at the moment. Because average list price $530, average sale price $629, that's $100,000. So that's what's going on in the market. Headline news, we're at the peak. I'm going to call it, we are at the peak. It feels like we're going to flatline or even just bobble around kind of like where we should be and not really change too much. Are we going to crash? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's a concern at all, but we're at the peak, definitely. Top markets, because let's get into those. Number one, Sackville. Back in the top market, but the average price in Sackville, $498,000, 125% of list price. That's going some in Lower Sackville. 49 homes sold, there's only 13 active. That gives you a 0.3 of a month. 8 days on market. that's a pretty hot market. It's always been a solid, good market, but at nearly $500,000 for Lower Sackville area, that's getting pricey. Number 2, Bedford. There we are looking at a $749,000, let's call it $750,000. 9 days on market, 114% sale to list price, 46 houses sold, 18 active, 0.4 of a month. Number 3, we are back up to East Hants, Colchester County, Elmsdale, Enfield, Lance area. $465,000 up there now. Remarkably so, only $55,000 over asking price, 13.5%. 10 days on market. Interesting the amount of inventory though. 44 houses sold, 34 houses for sale, puts us at just under a month at 0.8. So that's another interesting sign. Now that area is going to absolutely blow up because they are building out a new subdivision there called Kiln Creek. It's going to I think it's going to have like 3 different levels of houses there. It's going to have like in the beginning houses, the cheaper stuff, qualify that cheaper being like 450, maybe 500,000. For a single family, maybe it's detached or attached, not really sure. Then you're going to have the middle tier and then you're going to have the top tier. The top tier has already been confirmed as Stonewater Builders. It's going to be $600, $1,000 and above for like 2,800, 3,500 square feet, either with a single or a double attached garage. Double will cost you more. So that's what's going on there. So that market is absolutely, once they come on stream, it's gonna go crazy and they'll probably be number 1. So those are our market stats. What does it mean for sellers? Like I said, be sensible with your pricing and get on the market quick. What does it mean for buyers? Basically, you might have a little bit more choice and you might not have to go over asking price. Now stay tuned because we've got some other videos coming up in terms of the fact that we're getting rid of blind bidding, the fact that we've got rid of the non-resident deed transfer tax, and some interesting changes coming up, that's for sure. It's going to be a crazy market. But as always, my details are kind of wherever you find them all over the screen. Just get in touch. Let's start the conversation. Leave us some comments down below as to what you think the market's doing, because that'll be really interesting to see what everybody else is feeling. But in the meantime, we will catch you soon.